Hello everyone, and welcome to the third video in this series. In this video, I'll walk you through the setup of our pet store system applications. So the pet store system is built around a back end and a front end. The back end consists of an API, which is built in Spring Boot in Java. And this API is responsible for handling CRUD operations across various entities and is connected to a PostgreSQL database, as we can see over here. Now, this backend serves as an excellent demonstration example of our backend instrumentation agent for test automation. On the front end, we have two applications, one in Angular and one in React. And these applications are used to show how our single front-end instrumentation agent can capture user interactions telemetry automatically across different applications built with different web technologies. Now let's see how we can actually set up the system in practice. Now, before we set up our system, first of all, we need to make sure that the following tools are properly installed and accessible from our command line. Now, let's start with the installation of the backend, which is built in Spring Boot. Now, we can choose either this replication or this replication for the backend. Let's select the first one. And as you can see, we have a README for the replication package. We've already set up the telemetry backend. Now let's try to set up our backend over here by setting up its database. So I'll need to go over this project, which I've cloned locally, and I will go into this replication package, as we said. And this is our JPET store backend application. We'll go into it. We'll open a command line over here. And then we'll simply run Docker compose up to set up our database. And let's take a look at our containers. We can see that we have a PostgreSQL database properly set up. Now let's build our backend by running this command. And let's wait for the building process to finalize. And now let's simply run our backend application by copying this command. Now, as you can see over here, this full command is used when we want to instrument our application, which you will see later. But now all we need to do is simply run the build jar. So we'll just copy this part, and then we'll copy this part. And now our backend is properly being launched. And we can see that it's running on localhost 4000. So let's open that. Let's try route to see if our server actually works. Let's see get pets. And we can see that we have no pets for the time being, but our server is properly set up. So now let's set up the front end. So to set up the front end, let's look for the replication packages concerned with our Angular and React applications. And let's start with the Angular application and see how it can be installed. So this is for the back end, and this is for Angular. Now we have to go over at this location in our repo. So let's go into that, and let's open the command line instance over here, and then let's simply install the dependencies and start the application. Now let's wait for the dependencies to be installed. So now that the dependencies are installed, let's simply run the application. And we'll wait for it to be launched appropriately. So now that the Angular front end has been built and launched appropriately, let's check it out at this link. And as you can see, we've properly managed to set up the front end of our pet store system. Now let's set up the React front end of our system. So to set up our React front end, let's simply look at its replication package and go over to the React section. And again, we need to go to the proper React application folder. So let me go there, open a command line instance, and then let's install the dependencies and wait for them to be properly installed. Great. Now let's simply run our application appropriately. Now, as you can see, our application is properly running at this URL. I'm going to copy that. And as you can see, we've properly set up our React front end for the pet store system. Now, for the complete details on each of these applications, whether the Angular or React or the Spring Boot applications, you can refer to their respective READMEs in their application repositories. And that's it for our application setup. In the next video, I'll show you how we integrate our instrumentation agents into these applications. Thank you for watching.